Okay, my name is Haskell Yancey. The Yanceys have been making maple syrup here since 1844 in this sugar bush. This present building was built in the 50s, but before that the boiling shed was here since 1921. Prior to that it was just across the road. We have run 2 evaporators as long as I can remember, and I'm sure that was before that. What we're doing is we're evaporating the sap down to make maple syrup. The sap comes in, they drive up on the bridge there, we call it. Gravity feed it into the vats. We have this year about 1,000 buckets out, about 3,300 on tubing, 1 vacuum system, 1 non. But the sap comes in, goes into the red storage vats there, and they're metal lined, so that it's not just wood. From there, we are drawing sap continually into each of these, run separately. Okay, the one that I'm running here is coming across in that pipe, going in. It's coming in here, and then going 1 length of the back pan, and then back and forth here. This is a Vermont Inferno pan. We've had it, I think maybe this is the 4th year. Airtight with blowers, whatnot, and we don't have electricity in the boiling shed here, even though we're right on the road. The power line avoided our woods essentially and cut across the fields to go farther up the road. This other one is a Vermont style evaporator, which dates back to the 20s. It has a flue pan in the back, a flue pan in the front, and the syrup pan is not in the middle, but it's not on the end either, like this one is. That one travels back and forth several times across the back, once back sideways here and then back and forth here. And if you look in there, you can see that as it progresses through the pan, it gets sweeter and it boils differently. It's easier to point it out on that one than it is this one to some extent, but back there it's boiling, looks a lot like water, because this year it's not quite 2% as it comes in, the sap. And then this would be closer to syrup, and he just made syrup over there a few minutes ago, so that isn't foaming up like syrup, but this one is more so in these 2 sections, which you can see. That's it in a nutshell. As it travels through the evaporator, everybody thinks when they come in that it all just mixes in here, and they think you maybe make 1 big batch, you know, put the fire out. That was the way it was made years and years and years ago with the old black pans. But it comes in, like I say, at a little less than 2% right now, and then as it goes, it gets sweeter, boils at a higher temperature, and it doesn't mix once you're operating. In fact, I tell people at the end of the season, we put water in the vat and chase most of the sap through with water. And you lose some, it does make some, but you can essentially make some of the last, and that's your blackest, strongest syrup that you make. We used to have a bakery that's what he wanted, because it was stronger, and he didn't say it, but he could use more sugar and less syrup. But he wanted the very last stuff we made, stronger the better. We cut our wood 36 inches, which is plenty long for this, about the right length for that. We used to cut it 42 inches when the other evaporator was here, and we have somewhere in the vicinity of 70, 75 cords in the boiling shed. And so far we have 10 piles, and so far we've used, going on, well, when those 2 partial piles are gone, it would be 4. And we're at what we hope is about 1/3 of the crop. Or we think is about 1/3. Like I say, this is a Vermont style evaporator. The doors probably go back to the original evaporator. And you can see they've been patched and whatnot. Everything else has been replaced. 1920 type thing. I don't think it was the first year, because I know my dad always said they had something they didn't like the first year. We fire it here. The wood is 36 inches long. The wood only goes in the length of the wood essentially, and then the flames draw. You will see some flame all the way back to the stack. Of course, not a lot that far, but some. And if you look in between where the pans are, you can see some flame because they're not right solidly tight together. The guys cut and split the wood during season. We replace the wood before our help leaves. At least that's the plan. Otherwise, we'd be all year round doing wood ourselves here. We have a dairy farm besides the sugar bush, so we want to be done with the sugar bush and we're already late doing our farm work. So. After we take the syrup off the evaporator, we bring it over here in pails, pour it through the felt, which is, you can see, it goes through there, takes out the sugar sand, which are really the undissolved minerals is what it amounts to. After it goes through, it's the final product as far as syrup. And if you're going to make sugar cakes or maple cream or anything like that, you've got to boil it more, which we don't do here. We have a separate part to the kitchen at the house.